what I observe in Julie is like she has a lot of friends who are like under 35, like an unusual amount of them because of the work that she's done. And you seem to
It's
have a
true.
lot of friends who are like over 30, it sounds like. Like you're talking about people with husbands and wives and adults
Uh,
you've worked with. And I do think that's sort of specific to the work you guys do. Do you feel like you have a unique point of view on like that stage of adulthood because you're able to see so many people in that stage so intimately because of the work that you do? Like, do you think you get like grown-ups at that age in a way that most people don't? I know I did not have any understanding of people in their 30s when I was 18.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I would say definitely. I think more than understanding them, I think, and Julie, I don't know if you've had a similar experience, but I feel like, especially in sort of like this specific industry, age kind of doesn't matter in a way. Like, there's a lot of kids acting like adults and adults acting like kids. It doesn't matter if you're like 15 or 50, like you're kind of like in it, and like
right.
people are friends with people that are older and younger, and like I just feel like it's less of like a blockade than it is, I feel like, outside of, I guess, like Hollywood, if you will. And so I would say, like, I don't know if I have like a specific understanding of a different demographic of people, but I do feel like I just see people more as like people rather than as like kids versus adults, and like, like young adults versus like older adults, and like I think I just like I see people more as people, and so like when I meet someone that's 25, it doesn't mean that we can't be friends. But like if my friend met someone that was like my school friend that met someone that was
Yeah.
25, they'd be like, why is this old person talking to me? So like
Damn.
I think
Exactly.
so it's like
No,
it's
but it's
weird.
true. And does that carry over to your professors and teachers?
Yeah, I think there's definitely a strange dynamic. And I remember very specifically, I felt this way when I went back to high school for my first semester of senior year. Is like the way I was talking to my teachers, it wasn't like disrespectful in any way, but it was definitely very like conversational as like equals. And I think like that
Right.
definitely like threw a lot of people off, and like even just like, I'm asking you if I can go to the bathroom, like, huh? You know what I mean? Like stuff like that, like just sort of like the organization that our culture creates around age, I feel like is broken a lot in Hollywood. And so kind of then like going back into that is definitely a weird thing. And sometimes I forget about it, but like even when I got my interview for Columbia, I was like stressed out. I was like, what am I going to say is my favorite book? Like, do I tell the truth? Do I come up with something smart to say? Like, whatever. And I was talking to my friend about it, and she was like, Peyton, don't worry. Like, you're great at talking to adults. And I was like what? Like, just like the way you're thinking about it as like talking to adults is like not how I like think about any of these things. So I do feel like it definitely is a different experience.
So you've already interrogated this a little bit because your answer is really like sequenced. Have you already like given
Shh.
this some thought? You must have.
Oh, definitely. I think it's something I think about all the time. Like, it's even hard, like, with my parents, like, explaining to them that I'm going to hang out with, like, 25-year-old people, 30-year-old people, because they're like,
Right.
what is my 17-year-old daughter doing with this group of, like, older people? And, like, that's completely fair. Like, if I had a daughter, I would be saying the same thing. I'd probably be like, no, you're not. Like, what? But because of like the world we live in, it's normal. You all go to work together, you eat lunch together,
Yeah.
you relate on a level that sort of transcends age in a way that I think a lot of people don't understand. And like it makes sense. Like, why would you understand that? And sometimes even when I'm like telling stories about friends that I'm like, oh yeah, and his daughter, and they're like, what? So like it's definitely something that comes up a lot. But yeah, I think it's just another way of sort of navigating life and grouping people together.
I actually think it's one of the most positive things about being a kid actor. And I'm thinking about all the kids I worked with on Modern Family for so long, and how confident and easy they are with adults. I mean, they're kids, but they're when I say to my kids now, you have to advocate for yourself. You got to go talk to the teacher. They're like, "What?" Like, I don't want to talk. Like the teacher, like, do I have to? Can I just text her? I'm like, you can't fucking text her. You have to actually go to the office hours and stuff. And I was thinking about how
Oh.
I think it was like her first year or second year of Modern Family. We had a party. It was a wrap party at the end of the year, and it was at the hotel next to the lot, next to the Fox lot, and it was like sectioned off, like we rented out the bar restaurant area or something. And we're walking in, they stopped the kids, like, "Oh, you can't come in if you're under 21." We're like, "Well, they're not under. That doesn't. They're actors. They're like they're that's we don't have an age thing like that." And they're like, "Well, we do." And it was really weird. We never made that mistake again. I can hear Rachel right now, like nodding away because she probably remembers it too. But there is that sense I really do love and appreciate younger and older people on a set in a way where or you don't in the rest of the world necessarily, because everybody's just like, we're just doing a job. So you're 60 and you're holding a boom pole and you're talking to, a 10-year-old who's the star of the show, and they're having a completely cogent conversation. That's just the way it is. It feels very normalized. And that's the best version of it. I'm sure there's weird, funky, shitty versions of it that, Peyton, I'm sure you've seen, that I haven't, because I didn't start until I was already a legal adult.
Is that
Um,
correct, Peyton?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think just as much as there are great things about existing in a world where age isn't something that limits you, I also think, it's not like you should be talking to a 10-year-old the same way you talk to a 30-year-old. And I think like there are examples where, at the time I saw it as like, they want to be my friend. Like, this is great. And then, like, when you're older thinking back, it's kind of like, why did they want to be my friend? Like, they should not want to be my friend? So I think, like, for sure, there are these areas, these gray areas where it's like, yes, we are all working together. And yes, I know I can, like, have an adult conversation, but you still shouldn't be saying the things you're saying to me. So, again, I think there's good and bad to it. And you just kind of have to, like, work on figuring out where you kind of stand in that, and what you think is appropriate and what you think is not, and knowing the difference and being able to address things